Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I want to talk about grease lasso method of 3D modeling. So it's gonna be like a crazy 3D modeling uh, therapy or some sort. But if it's gonna be involving like Blender grease pencil and also Blender Sculpt Lasso tool. And yeah, but before I go there, I want to talk about SketchNCarve again. This add-on, I mentioned it a couple of times. So the tools uses Blender grease pencil to kind of freeform drawing a 3D model. Okay, so it's really powerful. I actually really like this tool, and I used it a couple of times. I think I started to get a hang of it a little bit. So I got this installed already. SketchNCarve. Yeah, this is version 4.1 or 4.10.3. The tool actually does this. If I'm selecting default cube and tap K, okay, we got this really big tools options coming out, and this is the default. I'll just hit OK. Basically, it's gonna work on this cube. There is a grease pencil underneath, but we are in the draw mode of grease pencil, right? So what this tool does, if I draw something like that and then press K, it's gonna eat that part of the cube. It's gonna be doing like difference boolean. And as you can see, the grease pencil, when I hit K to confirm the operations, it's gonna turn the grease pencil into this 3D objects that's doing a difference cut into this default cube. Okay, so it seems really simple, but it can do more. Like for example, I will not talk everything about this tool because it's kind of big and there's a learning curve. We can also do like instead of remove or difference, we can do add. So as you can see, it's doing add now. It's adding into our default cube. So we can draw like a mustache, for example. It's gonna join it. It's placing the drawings on the 3D cursor by default, but you can change this into whatever, maybe surface, I think. Oh, yeah, maybe. In this case, we don't need to worry about that. The function is basically, turning grease pencil on the fly into 3D mesh and then join it or difference. But it can do more like lines only, for example. Now we have like a cheese and worms on this default cube, right? It's really powerful if you know how to work with grease pencil. And yeah, the SketchNCarve tool is very smart in doing that. If we go back to object mode, we're gonna have our cube with all the like additional surface from grease pencil that's been added into a single object. Okay, there's a lot of things underneath, but I will not talk about it. What I want to talk is the grease and lasso method, right? So we actually have this. So we have grease pencil, but we also have the lasso tool inside Sculpt. So let me talk about this first. The grease, of course, the grease pencil, if it's gonna be separate from this cube. Grease pencil, if we just want to use grease pencil from nothing, we need to shift A and create grease pencil blank, right? Because grease pencil is a grease pencil object. It's separate from the normal object mode, and we can start drawing. I think I talk about this. If we just use a grease pencil, we can of course do all sort of things. We can draw something, and this drawing will be drawn on a hidden flat surface. Like there's like a hidden reference, and if we change the camera, and then start drawing grease pencil again. It's gonna be like floating whatever reference plane that it's using. So it's kind of slightly difficult working this way. If you have like VR tools and working with grease pencil in 3D, that's gonna be a different story. I will definitely get a VR tool at some point. For now, okay, working with grease pencil can be slightly tricky because you're kind of on the fly, you're on the space. Unless you change the option here and change the grease pencil origin to stroke, and the target could be the endpoints of another grease pencil. Alright, so if that makes sense, if I draw a stroke now and then connect it to this guy, it will actually bridge. So it's now we have actually a better reference of things. Okay, so this could be useful because we can be anywhere, and if I draw something, as long the last part is we connected to something, that then it's gonna bridge the two. Okay, so it's now it's I mean, we can still draw like normally, but the last part can be connected, which is really handy. Okay, while you're drawing, if you hit tab, you're gonna go to edit mode, and then you can select all and delete. Okay, and with working with grease pencil also, for example, if you draw like a profile of a car or something, just a basic car, very comical looking car, so we draw that on that plane, right? Now we can go hit tab, and then we can duplicate this, and since we already have stroke and connect the last endpoints, the first stroke you click and the end part will connect. So you can do this sort of things. Imagine grease pencil stroke is like a curve that you can later, maybe if you want to do like a NURBS type of modeling inside plasticity, you start with a curve and you draw this way. It could work. I haven't tried it yet, but this method might be interesting to try as well in the future. So it's a bunch of strokes, but if you make surface following the reference of the stroke, of course you're gonna end up with drawing of a car, like a proper car, right? Take a look at a web app called Feather 3D. That's actually pretty powerful, similar method to grease pencil. I think it's just a tool, but I really like this kind of workflow. Eventually you draw everything. It's kind of like a car. Of course you can just draw this and then extrude it, and you get like a polygon modeling that you can booleans. Yeah, it could work that way. It's just grease pencil, right? I show you in the past that you can also go to sculpt mode, and with sculpt mode we have more tools here, and you can grab things. For example, just round it. Yeah, you can kind of deform curve, adjust it. Yeah, I think this method also really powerful, and yeah, you can adjust the thickness if you start to, if you want to have like randomness with the thickness. It's kind of like the wireframe of the car, right? And then you can right click, convert it into Bezier curve, Now you have curve objects. This curve objects is something that I wish I can just send to plasticity and turn it into 3D. But I like just, for now I just stay inside Blender. And yeah, we can have this reference, we can draw a proper curve. I don't know, I think this could work as the base for your 3D model. So let's save this as a car. So let's hide this for now. We have the grease pencil objects, and we have this cube that's waiting there. So we also actually have the lasso tool inside sculpt mode, however. So object mode and sculpt mode is kind of related. Grease pencil is separate objects with its own tool and its own drawing mode. Now if we select a polygon object, which is this default cube, if we go to sculpt mode, so we apparently have something like SketchNCarve underneath here. There's a lasso. There's a lasso box trim and there's a lasso trim. Okay, box trim, if we use the default box trim, we just draw something like a box. It's gonna do like a difference on this default cube, right? Let's undo that. The lasso trim will do the difference. And this is very similar to the trim tool. It's very similar to the SketchNCarve tool. The SketchNCarve tool will do it differently. It's gonna be using like grease pencil and there's a lot of tools with SketchNCarve. This one is, of course, is a sculpt. We are doing a sculpt and doing a difference operations using lasso trim. There's a difference, there's union, and there's join. Okay, so union is, I think it's like the second method I was showing you. It's doing union. It's turning the lasso selection into this mesh. Yeah. There's another one which is join. It will not perform booleans. It's just like a excuse me, it's gonna create a new mesh as a separate geometry without performing any boolean. Okay, this one is actually faster. As you can see, whenever I draw something, it's extruding that selections. Okay, we actually want to have a bit of control with the extrusion, so use cursor for depth. If we right click and then change the radius, I believe the extrusion will be smaller and smaller depending on the pixel size of this radius. Now we got something that we can work on. Okay, so we can draw this way. Like for now, if you just starting to understand this method, just draw random things on top of another random things. Like whenever you draw something, you can see it's actually creating a new 3D objects. And we have face set created on the fly, which can be really handy. Face set. Face set is like it's a grouping of objects inside a sculpt mode. It's all colored randomly. You can edit the face set. For example, you can delete geometry based on the face that you click on. So there's a lot of tools here, a lot of method that you can use. Okay, now we can click and delete everything. Anyhow, yeah, we can also edit modes, go to edit mode and then delete everything. So we have nothing except for we are working on this cube geometry and we are using sculpt mode. So we can perhaps with this car, if we use the lasso tool, the lasso trim tool, I just call it lasso tool, we can draw our car, right? I mean, of course, this is like just a basic car, something that you can draw using polygon and extrude. Oh, okay, we got nothing, which is interesting. I think here's the thing. Okay, we need to have a cube at least, and then we go to a sculpt mode and then start using the lasso tool, lasso trim, and the method will be join, and start drawing. Since this car is super basic, like a toy car, we can draw it from the profile. We draw that, and then we can hit tab, go to edit mode. We can get rid of this cube now. Select a points and then L, delete. Select this guy over here, duplicate it. We almost have a car, sort of. We can go to the top view. Maybe we cannot really see from the top view, but we want to draw. We want to draw something like that, because that represents the shape that we want to place. But anyhow, go to edit mode, select that. I don't know if this is gonna work. Yeah, we are, because we are drawing it in 3D. It's actually not exactly the shape that we want. Let's delete that. Would be better if we go to the top view maybe, and then go to the sculpt mode again, draw the lasso. Draw it with the lasso. So it's a grease and lasso tool. We start with a grease pencil and then draw it with lasso. L to select the link objects. Suddenly we are in this mode, like we have a volume to work with. Okay, it's kind of neat. So let's say the top part, we are still using the lasso tool, remember? Let's just draw the cover, the roof part. Okay, we have something here. Select a single point and an L. You can duplicate and repeat if you want to do that, or you can select face this way. Let's turn on X-ray, selection box, and just drag it. Turn off X-ray again. So there's a lot of different methods on that. There's also hotkeys, useful hotkeys like L. Select a point, L. Actually, L. You can also have H. H will totally solo. It's gonna hide everything else except this guy, and then Option H to go back to it. Shift right click actually. Shift right click if you are in the object mode, I think. Shift right click will place 3D cursor. This is also handy. I'm just telling you that shift right click is to place a 3D cursor. That's really handy because if you want to place like a new object like a cube, you can place it on that 3D cursor. So that's not so useful for now. But anyhow, yeah, we got something that looks like a car. If you want to start carving this, you can then back to object mode and use something like box cutter or grid modeler. With box cutter you are in object mode and you can start cutting, a little bit like plasticity, right? But that's another add-on. If you want to work in edit mode and then start drawing things based on the surface, outliner, you select a face, and then use a grid modeler. That's another add-on. It's yeah, don't worry about that for now. We just work with the lasso things. So I show you a car and this pencil, but if you really want to work like freeform, right? Freeform, if you just want to do like a 3D therapy, you know, draw things very quickly and draw objects, you can just use the lasso method. So there's actually a video tutorial that's similar to this one. So you start with a default cube. You need to have the default cube, and then you start sculpting and use the lasso trim, and make sure this is joined. Use the cursor for depth and draw. Make the radius small, and you just start drawing. Yeah, there's a video tutorial already, like using this type of method to draw a character. Okay. And if you want to delete that default cube, you can use the edit face set and then just delete geometry functions. Okay. So this method, if we actually combine it with the grease pencil method, could be really powerful. Select something and then L, hit L while it's kind of there. So yeah, I'm trying to place where it's belong, you know, like positional, and we just do a mirror and turn on bisect and flip. For the head there, L, or just Control L. S, X, scale it in X. Control L. Select this, Control L. Control L. Antenna. Save this as creature grease lasso 00 grease lasso GL. From here, we got this. Okay, we just gonna apply. We still can come back to sculpt mode, and then from any point, we can go back to the lasso tool. We can draw like a wing, for example. Guys, we can draw the eyeballs. You could actually combine this with a grease pencil. Yeah, but grease pencil is gonna be like separate, right? Maybe for now, yeah, you can just remesh this if you want to. Now it's becoming like more like a sculpting. Apply. so it's gonna be pretty dense. At this point you can start, actually if you wanna continue with this, you can use Sculpt and smooth some areas. Normally if you are just having fun, we can use the inflate method. Just inflate everything, so it's like a balloon. Inflate everything, and yeah, you can of course do like a proper sculpt, like the flatten or scrape. Start drawing, pushing and pulling. But this is more like a sculpting. I'm not gonna do sculpting. You can, however, turn on X to have symmetry, and yeah, just sculpt. You're gonna be dealing with masking and things like that. This character seems pretty good. We can mirror, turn on bisect, flip if you want. And so let's say we have this character that we already love because it just looks very adorable, and you want to add details. And for details, I guess we can actually use grease pencil. We haven't painted or anything, just use grease pencil blank and then draw. We're gonna draw on top of this object. Turn on radius, increase the strength to maximum. And we can start drawing. Of course, we want to draw it maybe on the surface of these objects with a slight offset. Maybe we draw it with the mirror turn on. So we can draw a mustache, maybe. I should have drawn the eyebrows using grease pencil. It's gonna be funnier. Yeah, at this point, I think the functionality of the grease pencil is gonna be to add details. We can just sculpt it, but since this is like a, like for the 3D therapy, just we are drawing the details of this creature. Yeah, I just draw the teeth as well. Okay, maybe it seems to work. Final result of this grease pencil, of course, it's gonna be we can sculpt it first, add some kind of thickness. And then we can now right click, convert it into Bezier curve, hide the original grease pencil. We have this curve now. Geometry depth. Okay, and we can mirror and then convert to mesh, and we can join it with this guy and then remesh. That's if you want to do it that way. It's not necessary. There are many ways to add this type of detail. I mean, this is probably not what you want, but you can use grease pencil to add details. You can just use a sculpt mode and then draw proper details. And in fact, if you just use the sculpt mode and then you draw the shapes like the teeth like that using lasso, that will actually work. Make sure the radius is small, so you don't need to draw using grease pencil. If you want, I'm just showing you. If you want, you can also start with a grease pencil blank. Go to the front view and then draw. This is the method that I actually really like to do, using grease pencil, and each of the stroke, it will represent a body part. So you can draw a stick figure this way. Remember in the previous video when I did like a character using curve? This is similar to that, but we are drawing it using grease pencil. We can mirror it. We can sculpt the grease pencil and grab. So it's different method. It's similar, slightly different because this is grease pencil. And then we can adjust the thickness. So our character is not so flat. It has some kind of thickness. Muscles of this character. Control to do the opposite. Okay. Now we can right click, convert to Bezier curve, hide the grease pencil. Okay, we have just the curve. Again, do the depth thing, mirror this, and apply. Oh, convert to mesh, and then yeah, it's gonna work. And then we can remesh. Or at this point, of course, we can first of all remesh. If the remesh doesn't work, actually we can use this as a reference for sculpt. So now we can use the lasso trim with the join and start doing the lasso. Probably want to orient it into the surface, extrude project or fix. Okay, let's use cursor for that. And we are basically like drawing 3D shapes on top of this surface. Oh, I know what's wrong with that. I don't know. I know why we cannot remesh it, because I forgot to do something. We need to F and fill everything. Now it's gonna remesh properly. Okay, back to sculpt mode. We can further inflate this. Okay. Mirror once again. Turn on bisect. sculpt. And start doing proper sculpting. But I think the ending is gonna be sculpting, which is sculpting is not my strongest. I know I like to deal with curve more, like in plasticity, but I think I might as well practice sculpting. Might be very good with this. I just don't know it yet. Sculpting and cloth filter. I just like to use cloth filter and inflate. So a lot of, yeah, they're separated. Remesh again. Apply. Mirror. Mirror geometry and maybe just apply this. Flip, apply. Sculpt again. We have hole there. Let's draw and turn on the symmetry. Now this is a proper sculpting. Cloth, inflate, and deflate. Okay, this pretty weird looking creature. But again, you know, once you're in a sculpt mode, you can back to the lasso trim, and I believe you can just start drawing. Yeah, just make sure the radius is small. Use cursor for depth, and we can use project. I believe project will be pretty handy as well. The orientation of this is not. I think the orientation is pretty good. It's facing the camera, or maybe keep this fixed. Shape orientations. Okay, view. So based on the view, we are placing the lasso. Oh, okay. We need to be careful where we draw it. So this is like, I don't know, like drawing armors on this character. Maybe this should be surface. Yeah, we're drawing, imagine we are just drawing an armor on this character. Looks random, but I mean, if you're just like an artist, it doesn't matter. It's random. You're having fun. It doesn't matter. If it's for someone else, they want it in a certain way, so you have to follow that. Edit face set, delete. Oh, click and delete. Okay, delete the one you don't want. But anyhow, we have some kind of armor. Say we are drawing like a headband, or you know. some kind of mask maybe, but you know, that's sometimes the difference is a little bit, the drawing is a little bit funky like that. Edit face set, delete. You can always tweak it, go to edit mode and really, you know, adjust this shape. Yeah, I think what's really missing at this point is a VR headset, VR tools where we can just manipulate and place this volume. Save as weird. Okay, just say lasso creature. Remesh. Apply. Now we can sculpt. Just smooth this. Smooth or scrape. I think I forgot to mirror this guy. Alright. Sculpt. We have symmetry turned on. We can. I think I just like to use the flatten, for example, or scrape. Multi-scrape. Now we have a mix of like a solid hard surface on top of organic skin of this character. I think the one that's really also important is the grab. Getting into like a serious kind of sculpting. I don't have details on the arm, on the fingers. You can also remesh inside the sculpt mode, by the way. Sculpt, and you can remesh from here. If that's what you want. Voxel size 0.05. Apply. We get something that's pretty dense. But sculpt, sculpt will take forever. If you like sculpting, just give yourself sometimes for proper sculpting. I'm not gonna do that. I like doing the grease pencil and drawing the shapes more. Yeah, sculpting will take a while, and sculpting is also a different method of modeling. Once you get into sculpting, it's a different, it's just refining and adding details, which is something that I'm not gonna do for now. Just like to do this inflate and deflate. You can actually just use a maybe this place, or yeah, just if you want a hard edge, you can use the displays. Push and pull is similar to cloth. Okay, we end up with this mess. But yeah, So the point is grease pencil and lasso tool in the sculpt mode, under sculpt mode, is very powerful. Okay, it's not for organic modeling, but you can use it for organic modeling, or it's usually to get you to have like a form very quickly, like the blocking of the character, and then you start sculpting. But if it's just for fun modeling, it will work as well. Here, I think I need to practice sculpting a little bit more. But if you don't like anything like this, you can always use the lasso once again, back to where we started, and whatever you draw, because this is like just a shape on top of another shapes. So if you're doing like a volumetric, it's just like a lump, character with a lump of shapes, and then you can always remesh it. So back to where you started, just, and then you sculpt again. I think it's gonna be probably 3D modeling is gonna be like this anyway, with a SDF volume workflow. If you're gonna have the tool inside Blender, like with the geometry nodes, so you're gonna be using just volume and volume of things. Wherever you model, you're just gonna work with the volume, and then you make a cut, things like that. You probably need to do the retopology because it's all just a bunch of mesh. Yeah, the retopo maybe not so fun. That's why people use something like plasticity if they want to do like a solid modeling. Plasticity, you know, box cutter and grid modeler, it's all the tools that's doing that. If we are just doing random, we can choose whatever tool. Grease pencil, sculpt lasso tools. It's all, there are so many tools. It's just tools, and we are using Blender. And if you are using ZBrush or other 3D modeling package, it's gonna be different things again. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Sculpting, some people really love sculpting. I might actually end up liking sculpting, but yeah, it's up to you. Find your strengths. Put it on the ground. Control A, apply, all transform. Yeah, don't stop here. You know, let's get crazy. You know, but we start with something like this, super basics. But grease pencil, blank, draw, turn on, mirroring, sculpt, draw mode. Okay, let's do the draw mode. And maybe draw some tentacles based on the stroke placement. It's gonna be stroke, maybe endpoints. Remember, it's gonna make our life a lot easier. Okay, we have for the first stroke, that's somewhere on the space, but the next stroke can be just like branch of this. Okay, that one seems too far away. Delete. If you connect the dots, it's a lot easier now because, yep, the first and the last stroke will connect and bridge into this wing. Okay, right, we got wings. Right click, convert into Bezier curve. Hide the original grease pencil. Now we have this. Make sure we fill the caps. Mirror, remesh, and we can join with this character. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. I think I explained most of the knowledge that I know for this kind of techniques using grease pencil and lasso tools of Sculpt. It's a bit weird, you know, but could be handy for whatever you're doing. It's just like a method, a little bit crazy, but it might work for you. So yeah, hopefully you find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.